Have you ever felt like you're running faster and faster, only to realize you're still standing in the same place? Like no matter how much you do, the life you want never seems to arrive? We've all been there. That quiet frustration when you've poured your heart into growth, tried every tool, every method, every prayer, and still nothing shifts. It's one of the most painful feelings, knowing you've given so much, yet wondering why life refuses to move. Some mornings you wake up and the question sneaks in, why hasn't anything changed? You've tried so many things, working late, waking early, reading the books, meditating, journaling, praying, saying affirmations, making plans, and still, the same heavy feeling hangs around. You look at your to-do list and at your dreams, and you wonder if you're doing something wrong. Here's the truth I want you to hear. You're not failing because you're lazy or because you're broken. You're stuck because you've been trying to force life to move like a machine, and life simply doesn't respond to force. The more you grip, the less you receive. Think of it like trying to hold sand in a fist. You clench harder because you're afraid it will slip away, but the more you squeeze, the more it sifts through your fingers. That's what struggling to control your path feels like. Outwardly, you recite, I am enough, I am abundant, but beneath that, there's often another whisper you're not noticing. I don't have it. I'm not enough. I'm scared. The universe, or your nervous system, or whatever you believe listens for truth, pays attention to the energy behind your words, not just the words themselves. So you keep doing, hoping the motion will change the result. You hustle, you plan, you manifest, and nothing seems to stick. That emptiness isn't proof you're somehow lesser. It's a signal that your actions are coming from fear, not from calm confidence. You're trying to patch a hole from the outside when the leak is inside. What changes everything is not more effort. It's a shift in where your effort comes from. You need to pause and check the source. Are you doing this from a place of trust or a place of scarcity? Are your moves motivated by joy and curiosity or by the quiet panic that if you don't, you'll lose everything? I want you to picture a pool. Imagine you're trying to stay afloat by thrashing and flailing because you're terrified of drowning. You'll get tired, you'll sink. But when you relax and breathe, when you let the water support you, you float effortlessly. The same is true of life. The ability to allow, to not fight the current, is often what lifts you. This isn't an excuse to stop caring or to stop trying. It isn't permission to give up on your dreams. It's an invitation to change the posture of your trying. Stop trying from a clenched fist. Start trying from an open hand. Let what you do be born from calm conviction, not from a need to prove your worth. You are allowed to rest. You're allowed to step off the treadmill and breathe. In that stillness, you can listen to the quiet stories inside, the fears, the old beliefs, the tiny voices that say you're not enough. They aren't enemies to defeat. They're pieces of you that want to be seen and soothed. So if you're tired today, if you're bewildered that all your effort hasn't paid off yet, be kind to yourself. You're learning a new rhythm. The work now is not about doing more. It's about aligning the doing with a calmer, truer energy. You don't need to be perfect to deserve what you want. You don't need to push until you break. You already matter. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is slow down and trust that the current will carry you when you stop fighting it. Breathe. Open that hand. Let life meet you where you are.
Have you ever noticed how much energy you spend chasing? Chasing love, chasing money, chasing success. You tell yourself, when I finally have that one thing, I'll feel whole. But if you've ever reached one of those goals, you probably discovered what most of us do. The emptiness doesn't actually go away. It just finds a new disguise. Here's the hard but freeing truth. What you're chasing isn't always what you really want. Most of the time, it's what you think will fix something broken inside. That deep hunger for love, often it's not about love itself, but about calming the fear of being abandoned again. The obsession with money, it usually isn't just about numbers in a bank account. It's about proving your worth to the voices from your past that once made you feel small. That relentless drive to succeed, it's rarely only about passion. Sometimes it's about covering up the old wound that whispers, if you don't achieve, you don't matter. Carl Jung had a way of naming this beautifully. He said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." What he meant was simple. If you don't face the wounds beneath your desires, those wounds will keep running the show. You'll think you're chasing love, money, or purpose, but really you're running from fear. And here's the trap. As long as you're chasing from a place of lack, no matter what you get, it won't feel like enough. You can catch the thing, but your hands are still trembling with old pain. The love will feel unstable. The money will slip through your fingers. The success will feel hollow. Not because the goal is wrong, but because the self behind the goal is still bleeding. So what's the alternative? It isn't to stop dreaming or to settle for less. It's to pause long enough to ask yourself, why am I chasing this so hard? What wound am I trying to heal with this goal? That's where the shift begins. When you stop looking at the finish line and start looking inward. When you realize the hunger isn't really for the external thing, but for the part of you inside that's been craving recognition, safety, or wholeness. Facing yourself isn't easy. Sometimes it feels like staring into a mirror you've avoided for years. But it's the only way you stop the cycle. Because when you meet your wounds with compassion, they no longer need to run your life. The fear softens. The chasing slows down. And suddenly you have room to receive what you wanted all along. Not because you begged for it, but because you've become the version of you that can actually hold it. Think of it like this. If a child is crying in another room, you can drown the sound with loud music, or you can keep running around the house trying to distract yourself. But the crying doesn't stop until you walk into the room, pick the child up, and say, "I hear you. I'm here." That child is your inner self. That's what it's asking for. Not for you to chase louder or faster, but for you to finally turn inward and listen. And here's the paradox. When you stop chasing, you don't lose what you want. You attract it. Life doesn't reward desperation. It responds to wholeness. When you feel whole, you're no longer begging for love. You radiate it. You're no longer clinging to money. You carry safety within you, and money follows. You're no longer hustling for success. Your confidence itself draws opportunities toward you. So pause for a moment. Instead of asking, "When will I finally get what I want?" try asking, "What part of me still feels empty?" Heal that, and you'll stop running after things that were never meant to complete you. You'll start receiving what was always meant for you. Remember, the goal isn't to stop wanting. The goal is to cleanse your reasons for wanting. Because when you want from a place of wholeness instead of a place of fear, the chasing ends and the becoming begins.
There's a moment that almost everyone faces on the path of growth. You've tried, you've pushed, you've cried, you've prayed, and finally, exhausted, you let go. You whisper to yourself, "I surrender. I can't chase anymore." And deep down, you expect a miracle to appear right away. A sign, a breakthrough, a door swinging open. But instead, what arrives is silence. Nothing shifts. No text message lights up your phone. No opportunity drops from the sky. No instant relief. Just stillness. That's when the doubt creeps in. Did I make a mistake? Maybe the universe doesn't hear me. Maybe surrendering was just giving up. And your mind starts pushing you back toward the old cycle. To hustle, to force, to control. But listen carefully. The silence isn't punishment. It's preparation. Carl Jung once said, In all chaos, there is a cosmos. In all disorder, a secret order. What looks like nothing on the outside is often deep reorganization on the inside. The stillness you feel after surrender isn't empty, it's sacred. It's the soil holding the seed right before it breaks open. Think of a seed underground. From the outside, nothing appears to change. The earth looks flat, unmoving. But in the dark, hidden from view, the seed is splitting, roots are pushing down, a sprout is reaching upward. One day it breaks the surface, but long before that moment, life was already happening in silence. That's what the void is. It's the hidden season where your soul is being rebuilt. Your nervous system is learning safety. Your old beliefs are dissolving. Your new identity is being shaped. But because you can't see it yet, your ego panics and says, "This isn't working." Here's the real test of surrender. Can you stay calm when nothing seems to move? Can you believe you are growing, even when you can't see the proof? Can you trust that stillness isn't wasted time, but the exact medicine your soul needs? The void is uncomfortable because we've been trained to believe that results should follow effort immediately. But life doesn't run on our deadlines. It runs on alignment. And alignment takes time. You're not just waiting, you're becoming. So if you're in that quiet space right now, breathe. Don't rush to fill it. Don't assume silence means failure. Instead, ask yourself, can I feel loved before the relationship appears? Can I feel safe before the money arrives? Can I feel whole before the success is visible? If you can, you've already collapsed the timeline. Because the void isn't testing whether you can achieve, it's testing whether you can embody what you want before it arrives. And when you do, life has no choice but to catch up. Not because you forced it, but because you finally match the energy of what you've been asking for. So if you wake up tomorrow and it still feels quiet, don't despair. Hold your ground. Don't scramble to chase again. The silence isn't the end of your story. It's the sacred beginning.
There's a truth most people don't want to face. You cannot create a whole, fulfilling life by only loving the shiny parts of yourself. You cannot build real peace by only embracing your strengths while pretending your wounds don't exist. The pieces of you that you've hidden, the anger you swallowed, the shame you buried, the fears you silenced, are not mistakes. They are the missing keys, and until you turn toward them, they will keep running your life from the shadows. Carl Jung gave a name to this hidden territory, the shadow. Not evil, not demonic, not darkness in the movie sense, but the repressed, the parts of you you learned to push down in order to survive, the pain you never let anyone see, the voice that once said, "Don't cry or they'll leave you. Don't fail or they'll laugh at you. Don't speak or they'll reject you." That voice is still in there, shaping your choices, whispering in the background. Think about it for a moment. When you ache for love so badly it consumes you, is it really about love? Or is it about the younger you who was left alone, still begging to be held? When you obsess over money, is it really about wealth? Or is it about the part of you that never felt safe, still trying to buy protection? When you grind for success like your life depends on it, is it really about purpose? Or is it about the wound that says you're worthless unless you prove yourself? That's why chasing never feels enough. Because you're not actually chasing the thing, you're chasing relief from the wound beneath it. And here's the hard part. Even if you get the thing you're chasing, the wound doesn't heal. The relationship won't erase abandonment. The paycheck won't silence fear. The achievement won't dissolve shame. Because you cannot fix the inside by only rearranging the outside. This is where shadow work comes in. Shadow work means you stop running. You stop distracting yourself with more doing, more chasing, more noise. You turn around and you face what you've been avoiding. It's not glamorous. It doesn't look good on Instagram. It's sitting in your room and admitting, yes, I am scared. Yes, I feel unworthy. Yes, there's anger I've never allowed myself to feel. And here's the miracle. When you shine light on the shadow, it loses its grip. The things you've buried don't need to be destroyed, they need to be witnessed. Like a child who's been locked in a dark room, pounding the walls, screaming for attention. The moment you open the door, kneel down and say, "I see you. You're allowed to exist." The screaming quiets. That child, that shadow, doesn't need to control your life anymore. Shadow work is uncomfortable because it asks you to give up the illusion that you can just manifest your way out of pain. But it is also liberating because it shows you that nothing inside you is unlovable. Every fear, every scar, every piece of you you've been ashamed to look at, all of it belongs. And the moment you accept that, you stop being fragmented. You become whole. And when you're whole, something shifts. You stop begging life to complete you because you already feel complete. You stop hustling for love because you already found it inside yourself. You stop clinging to money for safety because you know your worth isn't measured by a number. You stop proving your value with achievements because you can finally rest in the truth, I am enough as I am. That's when the world changes. Not because you forced it, but because your energy is different. You're no longer broadcasting desperation, you're radiating wholeness. And life, being the mirror it always is, reflects that back to you. Suddenly, love feels safer. Opportunities flow easier. Success feels lighter because you're no longer creating from a wound, you're creating from your healed self. Remember this, shadow work isn't about fixing what's wrong with you. It's about remembering that nothing was ever wrong in the first place. You don't need to cut off the parts of you that hurt. You just need to bring them home. So the next time you feel the urge to chase harder, pause, close your eyes, ask yourself gently, what part of me is still waiting to be seen? And then give that part the compassion it's been starving for. Because the moment you stop running from your shadow, you stop being controlled by it. You take your power back. And in that wholeness, you don't just attract a better life, you live it.
Sometimes it feels like the whole world is working against you. You try and try, yet doors seem to close in your face. Opportunities slip away. Relationships collapse. Dreams stall. And you think to yourself, maybe I'm cursed. Maybe the universe just doesn't want me to win. But here's the truth that stings before it heals. Most of the time, it isn't the world blocking you, it's you. Not because you're weak, not because you're doomed, but because inside you, there's a tug of war. One part of you is screaming, I want more. But another part, buried deeper, whispers, I'm not ready. I don't deserve it. That contradiction creates confusion. It's like trying to drive with one foot on the gas and the other still pressing the brake. You don't move, not because the road is blocked, but because you're split within yourself. Carl Jung said something powerful. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. And he was right. Facing yourself fully is terrifying because it means you can't hide behind excuses anymore. It means confronting the shame, the guilt, the regret, the belief that maybe you're not enough. It's much easier to stay busy chasing goals than to sit still with those feelings. But here's the paradox. Anything you chase to avoid yourself will end up avoiding you too. If you chase love because you're afraid of being alone, love will slip through your fingers. If you chase success because you're scared of being worthless, success will feel hollow when it arrives. If you chase money because you believe safety only exists in numbers, money will never feel like enough. It's not because the universe is cruel. It's because it's protecting you. Life knows that if you received everything you're asking for right now, you wouldn't be able to hold it. Because a part of you, the part still carrying wounds and disbelief, doesn't believe you're worthy of it yet. So what happens? You sabotage yourself. You pull away from relationships that feel too safe. You procrastinate on opportunities you secretly want. You play small even when the spotlight is on you. And later, you beat yourself up, saying, I ruin everything. But you're not ruining anything. You're just reenacting the belief system you haven't yet healed. The way forward isn't to chase harder, it's to make peace with yourself. To accept every piece, even the ones you'd rather hide. The angry parts, the scared parts, the messy, imperfect human parts. Because until you embrace them, they'll keep blocking you. But once you welcome them home, they stop pulling against you. You stop fighting yourself. Imagine what changes when your whole being says the same thing. I am ready. I am enough. I can hold this. Suddenly, you're not divided. You're aligned. And alignment is magnetic. It pulls the right people, opportunities, and experiences towards you without the exhausting push. You don't need to be flawless to deserve love. You don't need to achieve endlessly to earn safety. You don't need to fight for worthiness. You already are worthy. The only shift required is for you to stop arguing with that truth. So the next time you feel stuck, instead of blaming the universe or calling yourself unlucky, ask, what part of me still doesn't believe I can have this? That's the real block. And once you see it, you can work with it. You can soothe it, heal it, integrate it. And when you do, the brakes come off. Don't let old wounds dictate your future. Don't let fear of unworthiness rob you of what's waiting. You don't need to be your own obstacle anymore. Stand on your own side. Back yourself the way you wish the world would. Because once you do, the world will follow.
For so long, you've been told you need to manifest the life you want. You've practiced affirmations, written vision boards, said the right words, and tried to convince yourself that if you could just want it hard enough, it would finally show up. But what if I told you the real work isn't manifesting at all? It's remembering. Because deep down, you are not missing anything. You've never been broken, and you've never been late. The love you crave, the sense of safety you long for, the worth you're desperate to feel, all of it was already inside you before the world told you to chase it. You were born whole. You simply forgot. Somewhere along the way, life convinced you otherwise. Maybe someone told you you weren't enough. Maybe society taught you that worth comes only from achievement. Maybe your own experiences left you believing you had to hustle, perform, or prove yourself just to be loved. And so, you forgot who you really were. That forgetting is why you started chasing. You thought love would fix the ache of abandonment. You thought money would quiet the fear of not being safe. You thought success would erase the shame of feeling unworthy. But none of those things can heal the wound if you're still living in forgetfulness. Here's the sacred truth. The version of you who already has everything you long for isn't a future self. It's your original self. The one who existed before fear, before shame, before conditioning. That version is still here, underneath the noise, waiting to be remembered. Think of it like static on a radio. The music is always there, but the interference makes it hard to hear. Manifesting, in the way most people talk about it, is like trying to scream over the static. But remembering is clearing the signal so the song of your soul comes through again, clear and strong. And when that happens, you don't need to chase. You don't need to beg. You don't need to perform. You become. You embody. You radiate the energy of what you desire, and life reflects it back without force. You've never needed to fight for worthiness.
You've only needed to return to the part of you that always knew, I am worthy, I am whole, I am already it. So maybe the journey you're on isn't about building a new life from scratch. Maybe it's about stripping away the layers that never belonged to you in the first place. The fear, the proving, the perfectionism, the doubt. And underneath, you'll find what was there all along. Peace, presence, wholeness. This is why surrender feels like magic. Not because it tricks the universe into giving you what you want, but because it reconnects you with what you already are. The moment you stop forcing, the moment you stop hustling for validation, you come home to your original frequency, the frequency that naturally attracts what is yours. And when you do, life starts aligning, not because you begged, but because you remembered. So if this message stirred something inside you, take a moment. Don't rush on. Breathe. Let it land. Maybe even whisper to yourself, I remember. I am enough. And if these words felt like a mirror for your own soul, I'd love for you to share your reflection below. Not for the algorithm, not for attention, but as a way to declare to yourself, this moment mattered. I am shifting. If you feel called, tap like or subscribe, not because you have to, but because it helps anchor this energy, and it connects you with more reminders of who you already are. Share this with someone who might need it, someone still caught in the chase, so they too can remember. Above all, keep returning to yourself, because you're not manifesting, you're remembering. And every time you remember, you step closer to the life that was always yours.